Baylor Radio color analyst, former Baylor quarterback with us on 365 Sports. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke. It's been a while. Great to have you, JJ. Did you ever throw down the horns down sign in a game against Texas?
Yes. I'm trying to think what player has not thrown horns down.
So what was the reaction back then? Because obviously it became overly sensitive in the last decade.
Yeah, I think that's a recent thing. When we played them, when I played, it wasn't as big outside of the Texas OU game, but I remember playing down there in Smoke probably my sophomore year. We won the game, and I think I flicked horns down at least twice. So, the players really didn't react like they have. Everything's so sensitive now that, everybody kind of has their feelings on their sleeve. But it's no big deal.
Yeah. JJ, do you think it will be a penalty in the SEC like it was in the Big 12?
How can I say this? No. Not even close.
Yeah.
JJ, what do you just make of the Big 12 rolling in this year where there's all this onboarding going on? I know at the end of the month there will be more of that as well. I know you want to play Texas and play Oklahoma. You wanted to play A&M back in the day. All that's out there, but now Arizona State, Utah, so on and so forth. Just what do you make of all the changes, and how do you feel about the new look Big 12?
It'll be a change. I know last year we didn't. You don't play everybody. I kind of like that. But overall, I like what Mark and those guys were able to do. The landscape was, it was the speed of sound. And I believe the conference that we've been able to put together is exciting. We have some great brands. You still have Oklahoma State. I believe Baylor's a great brand. I believe TCU's a great brand. Utah's a solid team. You have Arizona State, Arizona, and, of course, BYU. I don't want to leave anybody out. There's many others. Kansas is going to be really good this year, K-State. So I like the conference we've been able to pull together and think it'll be really competitive.
JJ, they have the two quarterbacks, DeQuan Finn, who came in from Toledo, and Sawyer Robertson, who's coming back. He was already on campus, a guy that Mike Leach recruited when he was at Mississippi State. Do you have any idea where they're leaning and your thoughts about what they might do?
I'm not sure, Smoke. I try my best to stay away from the offseason, but I've heard Sawyer was solid. I think they like DeQuan Finn. Sometimes I don't know in practice and a lot of stuff they're doing now, they don't want to show too much in public because of NIL and transfer and people poaching your guys, but I think the guys, if you think about it, are similar in the sense that Sawyer, I believe, his legs are better than I thought. He showed that he can use his feet, and I believe the spread will really help him. So I think it'll be competitive in the fall. And if I had my druthers, I think, with DeQuan coming in, unless like Sawyer goes and just outperform him, and I don't want to take away competition, I think DeQuan, with his experience, probably gets the nod if he performs, because you have Sawyer that got some experience last year as well. So it'll be interesting.
Do you think there's a legit battle, or is it DeQuan Finn's to lose?
My feeling is that I think with Aranda, I hate to say anything is just his to lose. I think he probably told him, hey, there's a great chance to compete is my understanding. And I think that he looked around, DeQuan is kind of what we've really been looking for as far as the dual threat quarterback, puts stress on defenses. But I really believe Sawyer has a chance. Think about it. Sawyer played good football against Utah. And if he doesn't get hurt, he may actually get us a dub in that game. So I think it's going to be really competitive. And I think if it's close, DeQuan will play because of the experience.
JJ, how do you feel about the changeover in offense to what Jake Spavital likes to do as opposed to the wide zone, run heavy, tight end heavy type of offense that we've seen the past few years with Jeff Grimes? We're still going to see run heavy, but just a different style across the board. What are your kind of early impressions and just early thoughts on what they've done, not only with the coaching change, but personnel-wise on offense as well?
Yeah, Spavital, I know I'm not probably saying his name, but I like his offense. I like spreading guys out. I like having the opportunity to create advantages. I like the wide zone, but it really required you to have some guys up front. They didn't have to be dominant, but they had to be coordinated. They had to be together, and you really had to win certain matchups to make that thing work in multiple places. Here in the spread, as we found out against Texas State, and I know we got one of the receivers, man, as long as your guys can hold up for, 2.5 seconds, you got a one-on-one match that you like, you can take advantage of that. So I like the offense. I like the spread. I hope it'll be interesting to see how the tempo is. But I think also creating those lanes inside where you don't have to be dominant, you can get position, helps the run game as well. So I like it.
JJ, how would you describe, I don't want to say desperate, but Dave Aranda has to win. And everybody else around him that he's brought in or whatever knows they have to win. Now, I don't know what the number is or what the start has to be or the win total at the end of the year. Well, I don't know that. But what's it like, do you think, to coach a team or the team to know that you have to win? Not just because you should, but that is something that is a must.
Welcome to big time athletics, and I think Aranda knows that. I mean, this thing now, Smoke, man, it's big time, it's big boy stuff. So, you win, or the constituents are gonna get a little restless, and they're gonna make a change. And Aranda came in, COVID. Okay, we throw that one out. Had a really good year, won the conference, and then we've had two. But I would say people feel like it was below the expectation. So I've actually liked the desperation because I think that's how you have to participate in this space now. You have to make, not that you're looking desperate and like I just need you, you wonderful player, but I think you just kind of have to have that energy and edge that, hey, it's time for us to win now. So I've been excited about the kids, the young men they've been able to bring in, how he's had to go about things. And I think we'll see the best version of Aranda because I think having him more involved and unapologetic on the defensive side is only a good thing.
JJ, it would seem to be naive to approach it any other way, right? Because when you can see a team rebuild itself in 2 years as opposed to 5, as it used to be before, if you're not using every resource at your disposal and thinking that you can do something in 2 years, you're kind of missing the boat, aren't you?
Man, I think you guys probably heard from me last couple of years. I was really disappointed that we didn't follow up 21. It's simply because I thought the rules broke our way. I said that several times, so I'm not going to rehash it. I thought we got comfortable. And Baylor is never in a space where we can get comfortable. And I think if you look at how Coach Drew runs the basketball program, he's not desperate, but Coach Drew doesn't rest on anything. He lost a top 5 pick or whatever. He's going to get another top 5 pick. And he's doing it. He'll fly wherever. So I think we kind of relaxed a little bit after 21, and then we took a little slide. And then by the time we figured it out, that level of desperation you need to play at and to participate at the high level, I think we just missed it that time. Hopefully we've been able to make up some ground here, and we'll be able to figure out what it looks like. We'll find out what it looks like in the fall.
JJ, did you make it to any spring practices by any chance?
No, I didn't, man.
Okay.
I did not make it. They were going to have the spring game, and of course they weren't going to call. I was going to come down, but I didn't make any spring practice. Got some good reports. I talked to John and Ricky about what they were seeing, but never did make it down.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you saw Gary Patterson in Baylor gear, and what your reaction to that was.
Hey, I'll tell you this, man. When I saw it, I didn't see it. I mean, when I heard about Gary coming, and then I've seen, of course, the stuff on, social media, it's kind of like, it's kind of like Twilight Zone, right? Mm-hmm. But everything is turned on its head, man, nowadays, right? They're about the players are playing for – I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So, Gary, hey, let's just put it this way. Gary is a fantastic football coach. And whether we like him or not, he's a fantastic coach that beat our butt more times than we beat his butt. So I think he can help, and I'm all for it.
Isn't that rivalry, and it really was launched when it was like, way to go Big 12, way to go. Not that it wasn't before, but way to go Big 12 when they had Dalton and all those guys, and they just hammered Baylor, I think, in 2010.
You mean when their current strength coach almost went at a guy in the stands?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
When,
I remember that.
Yeah. Is it weird how rivalries are, though? Because Baylor can lose to TCU even when they're much better that year. And yet when TCU has the third or fourth string quarterback or whatever, if you'll remember that game, they get a couple of punt returns or a reverse for a touchdown. How weird rivalries work sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, and I think part of it is, generally speaking, and transfers has changed it, these guys kind of know each other. Either they played in the same district, they competed in some camp together, so I think that helps it, and there's no intimidation factor, no matter what the records are. When I was in school, man, we lost to Rice, I think 2 of the 4 years or 3 of the 4 years I was there. It was the craziest thing. They were not any good, but, I mean, a lot of our guys were from Houston. A lot of their guys played in Houston. They knew them. They weren't intimidated. We were 7 in the country. We lose to Rice at home. And it just was – I can't explain rivalries, man, but it happens.
JJ, have you thought about how Coach Taff would approach this era of college football? I mean, he's very much was a traditionalist, and for a long time, I mean, he really didn't want a college football playoff. I mean, he's a coach that believed in the bowl system. How do you think he would approach recruiting and NIL and everything that goes on now?
I think Coach Taff, I don't think he would have pulled a savings. I believe Coach Taff loves coaching, and it depends on what age you're talking with Coach Taff. But Coach Taff was successful when he didn't have anything to sell. Mm-hmm. Coach Taff was selling a dream, the blue sky, the dream, man, when he was there. You should have seen the facilities. But I think Coach Taff would have figured it out how to move forward in this era. Would he have been for it? I don't think so. But I think, the position you find yourself in, that guy was going to be successful in any era of coaching that he found himself in.
Can you imagine if he had today's facilities back then?
Dude. When I got to Baylor at Floyd Casey, I remember they were built. The end zone facilities then, which is nothing now, and you should have saw the weight room. Mm-hmm. The weight room was on the side under the visitors' locker room, and you couldn't even get a quarter of the team in it. You probably could get 20 players in it, if that. And man, he had guys coming. He had Santanas. He had first round draft choices like James Francis, Robert Blackman, but he got them there, and he got the most out of them.
So yeah, and they just believed in him, right? He was a great salesman. There's no question. He had his faith, his mission of what he wanted. And was it really, looking back at that? That's not the only school that didn't have great facilities back in the day, but was it almost in a way a miracle of how many different players he was getting on campus, the kind of players?
Now, I think Coach Taff knew it. He had a great staff. Pete Fredenberg, who won all those championships down at Mary Hart, he was there for many years. I know he wasn't the whole time, but the one thing Coach Taff knew, he knew how to develop players. He knew how to identify and develop. So he went to East Texas. He would get guys who were 5'9", 5'10", 140 pounds, but he knew he was going to put 50 pounds on them, and they'd still run a 4.2. He would get his requisite, Santana Dotson, James Francis, Robert Strait. But at the end of the day, what Coach Taff knew is when Coach Taff got in your home in front of your mom, he knew how to sell moms. He knew that if I get the mom, I got the player. And that's, I think his ability to do that, I mean, and him selling in your living room, I think it was unparalleled.
Yeah, he was amazing, and we've heard the stories. I don't know if it was Singletary who told the story about when he went to visit Baylor at Floyd Casey back in the day, and it was just like the weight room was like in a closet or something like that, kind of like you were describing it. Yeah, man, love the man to death. Hey, JJ, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
JJ Joe, former Baylor quarterback, Baylor color analyst with us on 365 Sports.